Today's episode is going to be about IVF and infertility. It's going to be looking at how homeopathy can help you even when you're going down through the IVF route, because there are so many areas of health that we can be looking to improve to make your journey much, much easier for you. Hello and welcome. It's so lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really pleased to be able to welcome back Felicity Gray. Felicity, it's lovely to see you.
Thanks, Mary. So nice to be back here.
And the sun is obviously shining on you. You're absolutely glowing this morning.
Yeah, it's so sunny there. In fact, I couldn't turn my thing around because you wouldn't have been able to see me. It would have been crazy. It's so bright. Yeah,
We're so excited, aren't we, to have some sunshine.
I know.
We were looking at the forecast earlier, and 7 days, no rain. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow, what is that coming? 7 days?
7 days from now.
Wow.
No rain till a week on Sunday, I think, for us.
Brilliant.
So very excited.
Yeah. It's the little things, Mary.
I know, isn't it? Isn't it?
We are in England, so we have to talk about the weather.
We have to talk about the weather. Yes, absolutely, we do. Because we have had such a long winter.
Yeah.
And it's been quite difficult for a lot of people. But we have turned the corner. The sun is shining and your face is glowing.
Good.
And today we're going to talk about IVF and infertility, because this is something that we talk a lot about with homeopathy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I've not come across, apart from in the Homeopathy 24/7, I found one of the other homeopaths has done quite a bit on this as well. But I've not come across any of my colleagues doing it. So, yeah, I didn't know of anyone else.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, there are a lot of people asking, because let's start with a comparison, can we, between mainstream medicine, what happens with IVF, what it is and why you choose it, and what happens if you come to a homeopath. And also, of course, there we need to include, is it okay to come to a homeopath when you have started on an IVF treatment?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as we say all the time, it's completely fine to take homeopathy alongside your prescribed medicines. We are never going to tell you what to do with your prescription. We're never going to change anyone else's prescription. And the thing with doing IVF, you are not only are you you have to do it. If you've come to the stage where you have to do IVF and you don't have any other choices, then you're going to have a lot of detoxing to do at some stage during the process. And so, I mean, doctors say to people trying to get pregnant, try for a year, and then if nothing's happened in a year, then come and see us. But in that year, it would be really great if people saw a homeopath even for that whole year.
Yeah.
Because some people come to me for 3 or 4 months before to detox and improve their system before they start the IVF. And that's a really great opportunity to clean out any toxicity, clean up the liver, balance the hormones, do so many things. And actually, even in that 3 to 4 month period, some people then go and get pregnant.
Exactly.
Right, because we've changed the hormone balances, we've cleaned up the liver, which gets toxic with hormones anyway. So yeah, it's a win-win situation really if you start with a homeopath.
Yes.
Or because you've got 3 to 4 months of building the egg and the sperm.
Yes.
And also I always say infertility is not just a female situation. We've got to treat the men as well.
Yes, because there's we ask a lot of questions, don't we, about each partner and about what they're actually thinking about this. And I often find that homeopathy is the ideal opportunity really to be increasing the health of the womb and the uterus and everything, so that you are able to hold a baby for the full gestation period. Because quite often people have gone through multiple situations where they haven't been able to hold a baby full term. So there's quite a lot of work to do there, isn't there? So the questions that we are asking is quite a lot about the history, isn't it?
It is, and even, now we're getting down to generations whose mothers have taken the contraceptive pill. And the reason why I first got into this was at college treating I wasn't treating, I was a second year, but I was with a third year in the student class, and they were treating someone whose periods hadn't come back after stopping the pill.
Okay.
And we managed to get her periods back, and then she got pregnant. And it was brilliant because she was facing, she wasn't ovulating at all. So it was a really tricky situation. And then I got into this, wrote my thesis about it, and then it just took off. And I think that if you treat the woman and the man at the beginning, you are also reducing the toxic load for later during the pregnancy. So if the liver is clearer and the inflammation is reduced, your chances are you're not going to have such bad morning sickness. You're not going to have such bad joint inflammation while you're pregnant. And so it just knocks on to everything. And then
So we really are looking at building the health of the whole body. And so, I mean, I often say this with children, they're so lucky that you're bringing them now because it's going to change the health of the future. But that's what we're talking about, isn't it? For fertility issues come, and then everything else will be so much easier for you.
Yeah, and even those women who've gone through life having lovely light periods and they think they're getting away easily, and look, they are. That's fantastic if you don't have a full-on heavy bleed. But sometimes you don't have enough lining in the uterus.
Okay.
And so sometimes even through IVF, the consultants are saying, we need you. I mean, I've had clients on Viagra just to increase blood flow to that area.
Okay.
So they, because if they've got a really thin lining, the egg's not going to implant. So there's all these things. So I'm kind of following what the consultant is saying. So we need this, we need that, and then giving homeopathic remedies to help that situation all the way along.
That's really interesting. So what you're saying is if somebody has been and they've got tests and they've got results and they've got information about what is actually happening, then that is really useful for you as well.
Absolutely, because all the way along, so at the very first stage, they're doing a deregulation, and then they're doing FSH and follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone to increase the amount of eggs that mature. And alongside that, a woman then produces a load of estrogen. And so with that increased estrogen, you can feel euphoric. You can feel a lot of my clients, they feel almost, heady and drunk on all that happy hormone. And then when they go through the egg collection and it drops down, they go through this roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah.
And so it's also supporting that as well. There's disappointment. There's sometimes after the egg collection, it can be like PMS tenfold. And so homeopathy really helps with that. The anxiety of the waiting, the hormone roller coaster, all the steps along the way. And then also from the egg collection, it's not pleasant for a lot of them. And they can be left feeling really, really inflamed and sore. And a couple of days later, they've got to have an embryo implanted. And we want that uterus and that whole abdominal area to be feeling fabulous and relaxed. And again, homeopathy can really support that as well.
That's really interesting. So what you're saying is we can help with homeopathy before you begin IVF, and sometimes you might get pregnant before it actually happens. And then during the IVF, homeopathy can make the whole process much more comfortable for you. Perhaps even, your body is able to cope better because of that help that it's had. So what actually is homeopathy doing?
Oh, Mary. Well, it's stimulating the body's own natural healing process. So we're not overlaying anything onto you. We're not forcing the body to do anything.
Okay.
We are making, the homeopathic remedies are making suggestions to your body to change, and you're ultimately still in control.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not changing your personality or anything.
No, no. And so it's just really stimulating a balancing. So if something's out of sync, then it's perhaps giving the body the opportunity to bring it back into sync. How does that differ from IVF? What exactly is IVF?
Well, IVF, they start off with a deregulation process where the drugs affect the pituitary and it just shuts down your own natural cycle. Then they, as I said, they give you luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone to increase your production of eggs. And at that point, if you've got a history of polycystic ovaries, there's a chance that you might produce too many eggs.
Uh-huh.
And some women can produce 30 or so eggs in that one cycle that they harvest.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that's not great either, because you think of the energy that is taken to produce one egg in a month is then split over 30. And we want just a couple of really good eggs.
Yeah.
We don't want huge amounts of not really, shabby eggs. So it's again, that's the thing going into it at the beginning. If someone comes to a homeopath with polycystic ovary syndrome and they want to go into fertility or IVF, we can help change those hormone levels. We've got so many remedies that rebalance hormones. And if some of the androgens get reduced and the estrogens and progesterone get into a better balance, they're not going into IVF with such severe PCOS. So they might not produce hundreds, like not hundreds, but 30 something eggs when we only need a few.
Yeah.
Few really good ones. That's all we need.
Yes, yes. And it's just that releasing them at the right time, isn't it?
Yeah. And so once you've gone through that process, then they give you what they call the trigger
Okay.
and a trigger injection, and that makes all the eggs mature at the same time.
Okay.
And then about 36, 48 hours, depending, they monitor it. They'll go in and do a transvaginal egg collection. And that's the thing where if you are producing 30 odd eggs, you've had your ovaries stabbed 30 times, some women can feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So that's where, great healing remedies come in. Obviously things like arnica and stuff, but even Bellis, which is much more for the tissues. So I don't want to mention remedies, because not every remedy, as you know, is not the same for everyone. So they do the egg collection, and then they will fertilize the embryos, let them grow for a couple of days, and then you have reimplantation. And then at that point, the reimplantation, they normally start you on progesterone, which will be usually a suppository or an injection.
Okay.
And the thing with progesterone and that stage, that's just 10 days of waiting game for a woman.
Yeah.
And it's a really hard stage. That's where I get called the most.
Okay.
Where, in the lead up to it, they're going into the clinic almost every other day, having a scan or a blood test. There's lots of attention, there's lots of nurturing, there's lots of chit chat. And then they've had all the happy hormone starts to reduce, the estrogen starts to reduce. Progesterone is coming up, which is like premenstrual tension kind of, we're getting into that territory.
Okay.
And they're just left on their own to wait. And that's a really hard time. That's when they need a lot of support.
That's when they need the support. Interesting. So, of course, and you mentioned that there are certain remedies for certain things. So you are asking for physical and emotional symptoms. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? How is this affecting you? In order to find the right remedy at that stage.
Yeah, because also often, sometimes both parties are involved in the infertility, but sometimes it's one. And for the woman who has great fertility, but her husband doesn't have such great sperm, there can be, she's having to do all of this process. And a little, sometimes a little bit of resentment can creep in. It's not that it's anyone's fault,
No,
but
no.
can't help, they can't help but feel like I wish I wasn't having to do all this. It's
Mm,
kind of not my problem. But
yeah.
so that little bit of resentment can need nurturing as well. Need somewhere to express that. And as you know, we've got homeopathy for all those feelings when they get too loud,
Hmm.
when those
Yes.
emotions
Yeah.
get too loud for
All
us.
the chatter. And of course, we can't forget at this point as well, for the men, they might
Mm.
have been through, had been supporting a woman through highs and lows, and that emotional turmoil might have been going on for a long, long time.
Yeah. Actually, I did say to you I don't have a case, but I've got a little story. I was once treating a couple and I treated them for a couple of months. And the woman, because actually, also, women who work in a very, very male dominated environment, their hormones can get affected by that.
Okay.
And she was working in the city and they came to see me, and this particular follow-up, he came before her. And he came in and he sat down and he said, "That's it, I'm divorcing her. I'm fed up. She's a nightmare. She's a total nightmare. She's all of a sudden turned into this nightmare." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right." So we went through the case and I gave him some remedies to take home and off he went. And then I saw someone else, and then I saw her. She walked in and sat down and said, "I'm pregnant." I was like, "Have you told your husband?" Better tell him quick. And because that shift of emotions
Yeah,
had made her, with being pregnant, had made her different to how she was normally. He
yeah,
didn't know how to handle that.
uh,
Yeah. So that was fine afterwards. They didn't get divorced,
yeah,
but that
yeah.
was an awful
It,
moment.
it, it is so interesting, isn't it? Because we do ask questions that other people don't ask. So we do quite often see things that other people don't know the reason for. So that is a really good story explaining how that is affected. So we can help somebody before treatment, we
Mhm.
can help somebody during treatment. What about those people who have been for multiple IVF and not had any success?
Well, then that's obviously, yeah, that's a real support game as well. And I've had clients who've gone through donor eggs, donor sperm, and supporting them through that.
Okay.
Um, I mean, as you know, being a homeopath, there's a lot of support that goes on because we want to know about the feelings. We're
Yeah.
not going to be judgmental if you're feeling resentful or angry or hurt. It's like, bring it on, let it out.
Yeah.
Let's express it. And there aren't many other places you can go with that. You're not going to get that support at the IVF clinic. Well, you do. Yeah, they do. They do help a little bit. I think they're better these days than they were when I first started doing this.
Okay, that's interesting. Because of course, the reason for infertility can be many and varied, and quite often you're getting a diagnosis of unexplained infertility.
Yes.
And I often find that when people come, they are then explaining something that might have happened years and years ago.
Mm.
It might have been a car crash. It might have been, an emotional trauma. It could have been anything.
Hmm.
And quite often, when that is addressed, then everything else comes slowly back to form because
Yeah.
that effectively has knocked your body off being
Mm.
balanced, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're all aware of how hormones can change because of stressful situations. If you're constantly in a fight or flight, cortisol and adrenalized situation, the other hormones to shut down. They don't work in the same way. And then women who are, really stressed and lose weight, menstruation stops for lots of reasons, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to stop to be affected. And for those women who come off the pill, and there were a lot of women who come off the pill and their periods don't restart.
That's right.
And it takes quite a little bit of negotiation to get that going again. But it's not you ovulate before you menstruate. So sometimes they get pregnant before they even know they've ovulated again.
Yes.
So with some people I've treated, if they're trying to get pregnant and then all of a sudden they go, well, I haven't even had a period yet, but I'm pregnant because we got the ovulation going. Yeah.
Right, and it works full time. Um, can I jump to the people perhaps who are listening who might be a little bit older and worried that their fertility might be dropping? Are we looking at the same sort of investigation?
Yeah, I mean it's a bit of a sad situation that over 40 the IVF the NHS only gives you one IVF round. So and sometimes women in their 40s their fertility can increase a little bit.
Okay.
But then also, you can have women in their 20s that go into menopause. It's always so different for so many different people. But as you know, treating hormones with anyone from the time they start their periods right through to menopause, you can make so many changes. And that's one of the things that I really loved about homeopathy right from the get-go, and why I did my project on this is being able to support that and change that and make it so much better on
Yeah.
so many levels. Not just fertility and infertility, but someone's menstrual cycle not having to put up with such bad, periods every month. So the homeopathy that I do through an IVF cycle is essentially not so different
Okay.
to the homeopathy I would do through a regular infertility cycle. I'm still supporting the detoxing at the beginning of both parties, making that egg and that sperm as good as it can possibly be. And then supporting the uterine lining, the abdomen, making sure that that is the coziest, best living room that any egg is going to want to implant into. And then the support afterwards, going right through pregnancy.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course. It's just amazing, isn't it, that we get to have this opportunity really to help so much. It's so life-changing for people.
So changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, people are coming. I know that, it can be years and years of frustration for people, and that brings so many problems. And of course, when we look at homeopathy, we're looking at all of that and those feelings and what is happening. And we can see month on month those changes that happen, can't we, before the pregnancy comes, and that everything that you've done has helped the body become that cozy sitting room that the eggs want to sit in. That's such a lovely way to say it. And I remember one person that didn't know homeopathy at all, and she came for other reasons. And during our first conversation, she mentioned that she'd never had a period.
Oh,
She
wow.
had two children. She'd had two children, both with IVF. She'd never had a period, and she was really hooked up on the death of her father. She'd never got over the death of her father. So we treated for that, and guess what?
Wow.
She started having periods. Yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
so this was, 15 years. She'd not had a period. And yeah, amazing, amazing. And it just brings home to you what we're actually doing with homeopathy. We're just helping the body be healthy, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. Because a lot of it, if you're removing those toxins right from the get-go, the whole system just works so much better. And as you know, with any polycrest let's not call it a polycrest, any mainstream homeopathic remedy that we're going to use in a constitutional way is going to improve everything in the whole body. It's not just going to tap into your uterus. It's
Yeah,
going to improve everything. So if the block is somewhere else, that
yeah.
it might not even be presenting with symptoms yet, and we might not even know about it, but it's just going to help it anyway, which is just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, also when you're saying about that all along the way, secondary infertility is so common as well, where someone's had a baby,
Yes.
that all worked fine,
Yes.
and now they can't get pregnant again. But
Yes.
if you think about it, where women with their first small baby or even little toddler, it's probably the most tired you're ever going to be, and they're just exhausted. And
Yes.
also, those little toddlers that are going off to nursery, they're coming home with every cold and flu. And, every young mother probably has more colds and flus than they've ever had in their life. And, it just depletes their immune system. So if we can get in there, boost the immune system, balance out the hormones, I'm thinking of a remedy like sepia, where they're just run ragged. They're
Yeah.
so exhausted.
And of course, sepia has got that picture of never been well since pregnancy.
Yes,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
um,
And
yeah.
you can see why, right? Because
Yeah.
you have this baby and then all of a sudden you've got no sleep.
Yes.
And it's not like, so many of my clients saying, oh my God, it's much easier going to work.
Yeah.
Because you can take a coffee break when you want. So it's those early years that women are really tired and then they're trying to get pregnant on the back of their bodies just being quite exhausted. So that's again, you give a homeopathic remedy, it just shifts everything around, and yeah, hey presto.
Well, what a lovely start. If this hasn't influenced people and inspired people just to find out how to make their whole body just more ready for carrying a baby and completing that pregnancy. It's just such a wonderful thing that more people do need to know about, isn't it?
Yeah, because even that first 3 months, if everyone came to a homeopath just to improve the quality of their sperm and egg,
Yes,
just that on its own would
yes.
help so much. And that then they're going to go into their pregnancy so much healthier and finely tuned before they go into, creating a life, which you want to put as much energy into that as possible. That's yeah. I just think it's just if everyone could just please do that.
Yeah.
Just help
That's
the first, make the egg and the sperm as good as possible. Um, and then also, you hit the birth so much more prepared and so much, cleaner and clearer energy.
Because the lovely thing, of course, about homeopathy is it really gets you thinking about what your body is trying to tell you, doesn't it?
Mm.
And every homeopath will be explaining to you, okay, we need to have a look at what the symptoms are actually trying to say so that you can be interpreting them yourself, which of course is going to help you through the pregnancy and through that birthing section as well. There's so much to go through here. What we're going to do, Felicity, is put your details with the podcast so people can get in touch with you and find out the different programs and things that you have got.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, it's lovely talking to you.
It's just such a great opportunity to talk about the wonderful things that we can do with homeopathy, isn't it? Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you, Mary.
Well, what a magnificent episode this was today. I hope this has inspired you to look into the health of your whole body so that you can go into pregnancy in the best possible health that you can do, your body can do. And I'm hoping that this episode really inspired you to look into what can be done. If this is of interest, then look at these episodes because they are going to help you as well. Take care.